And welcome to Hannity. And tonight, huge breaking news. The Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, will join us after stripping 37 security clearances from anti-Trump operatives who are weaponizing the intel community. Are indictments possibly far behind? Also later tonight, Stephen Miller. He will try and analyze the Democratic Party's descent into utter lawlessness and theatrics. Take a look. All right, a mariachi band at a press conference to protest deportations. Only the party that puts the so-called rights of illegal immigrants over your safety and your family's safety and security can come up with that one. Also, a serious question. Can the Democratic Party get any worse? Our good friend Stephen A. Smith calling out his own party. I think he's finally getting Hannitized for their horrific record. Take a look.
It was Biden in office when a full-fledged war against Ukraine took place, courtesy of Russia's instigation, no matter what they try to say to Trump. It was Russia that invaded Crimea, and that was under the Obama administration. It was Clinton in office when you made a deal that disarmed Ukraine and therefore weakened them, leaving them dependent on the United States.
He's riled up. Our buddy Stephen A. Smith will join us in just a moment. But our first guest is someone who, frankly, does not get enough credit from America's so-called journalists, the state-run legacy media mob. He's been flying all around the world, trying to bring peace to the Middle East and to Europe. When it comes to tough negotiations around the world, there's perhaps no one better at this than Donald Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff. Now, prior to the Alaska summit, Witkoff was diligently negotiating in Russia with Putin behind the scenes personally to try and carve out common ground prior to Alaska, while also personally delivering President Trump's message to Russia. Witkoff is getting results. The Alaska summit, in spite of what the media mob would tell you, it was a huge success. If it wasn't, then why would Zelensky, NATO leaders, European leaders, why would they fly all the way across the pond on a day's notice and meet with President Trump at the White House? No other world leader is capable of pulling any of this off but Donald Trump. And it perfectly embodied the president's core strategy of peace through strength. In the end, it will be the two sides in this conflict. It's going to be Putin, it's going to be Zelensky, it's going to be Russia, it's going to be Ukraine, and it will be Europe that determine the final outcome. But for the first time in 3 years, there is hope that the death, the dying, the destruction may stop. If not, President Trump said there will be severe consequences for Vladimir Putin and Russia, and depending on how long it continues, Ukraine, it may no longer exist. Not good for anybody. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said it this way. Take a look.
I want to set the record straight on what went on in Alaska. Alaska was a show of force by President Trump. He invited President Putin to land that the Russians used to own. He displayed a huge amount of military hardware and then did a flyover. It was kind of like inviting your uncontrollable neighbor to your house and showing him your gun case.
All right, so thanks to the president's leadership, the world finally has a chance at peace. I thought liberals, all we're saying is give peace a chance. You would think they'd be happy with Donald Trump tonight, but they're not. And the next steps are coming into focus. A bilateral meeting between Zelensky and Putin is now under consideration. Another option, a trilateral meeting between the pair and President Trump. That is also a possibility. In my strong but humble opinion, that would be the best option for peace. I think we probably need someone to be a referee in that room, or Putin and Zelensky may kill each other. Now, the rest of Europe, they shouldn't get a seat at the table. As per usual, the EU has grossly mismanaged this regional crisis well before a single shot was ever fired. In fact, they have been funding Putin's war machine for decades. Take a look at your screen. Now, prior to Putin's invasion of Ukraine, several European countries were buying 100% of their energy, the lifeblood of every country's economy, from Russia. Even major European powers like Germany were sending tens of billions of dollars to Vladimir Putin. He's supposed to be their, quote, enemy. He's the one they're afraid of. In Trump's first term, Europe defied his warnings. They doubled down on stupid, building more pipelines and more pipelines into Russia while shuttering their own energy facilities. And according to reports, even several years into the war, Europe was still sending Putin around $22 billion for Russian energy. In other words, they were funding Putin's war on their own continent while begging the U.S. to send more cash, more weapons to Ukraine. Thankfully, President Trump is putting an end to all this madness, hopefully an end to the killing. And, of course, we still do not know when or even a peace agreement can be reached here. Putin is not someone you can trust, but with possible land swaps, European security guarantees for Ukraine, we have never been closer to a resolution. We've got a shot here. And it's all possible because of President Trump. He made peace a priority. Look at all the countries he has played a role in bringing peace to around the globe. Time and time again, he is sending the right people to negotiate. He squeezed Putin with a massive EU-U.S. energy trade deal, nearly $1 trillion, and harsh new tariffs against purchasers of Russian oil like India, along with a new weapons deal for Ukraine. Okay, Vladimir, we'll let them buy the weapons if this is what you want. And it was President Trump that rallied NATO states in Europe to more than double their defense spending for NATO. That is how Donald Trump got Vladimir Putin's attention. And despite all of this, the media mob and the Democratic Party, they have been openly rooting for failure, even mocking President Trump for trying to restore peace. And today, the White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt issued this very forceful response. Take a look.
From the beginning of this entire process, much of the left-wing media has been actively rooting against the President of the United States in the pursuit of peace. Diplomacy is a delicate process, and instead of reporting the facts about what is happening here at this White House and what is happening between this president and other leaders around the world, many outlets in this room continue to try to actively undermine the president and sabotage the efforts towards peace.
Well said. In reality, most of the so-called journalists and the media mob, they're totally clueless. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.